supporters, they have their storybook ending.
Right, there's just more matches that matter when you have a promotion and relegation scenario on the line.
And Doncaster Rovers will be going down. They need to find a goal in the dying seconds.
You guys know what relegation is? Oh, you do? Okay.
It's all over. And so is life in the Premiership for Leeds United.
Don't remind me I'm a Leeds man.
You're listening or watching to the Soccer Podcast USA. I'm Christina Unkel, and today we got a great show for you talking about promotion and relegation here in the United States. For half a century, soccer in the United States has lurched between booms and busts, niche passion and fleeting mainstream flirtation. The North American soccer league's rise and fall in the 70s and the 80s, MLS's cautious birth in the 90s, and the recent surges in World Cup viewership all trace the sport's uneven climb. Yet today, something different is stirring. Soccer's infrastructure has matured, stadiums are packed, youth academies are bearing fruit, and the women's game enjoys both professional domestic and global dominance. Still, American soccer has lacked one crucial ingredient found in the global game: promotion and relegation. Now the United Soccer League, a league that has both women's professional Division I and the country's second-tier men's league, is stepping into that void with promotion and relegation in the men's side, announcing plans to introduce it by the season of 2027-2028. It's a bold move, one that bucks the closed league model entrenched in American sports, and if successful, it could be transformative. The promise of upward mobility for small clubs could unleash new investment, deepen local engagement, and create a more organic footballing ecosystem. Critics argue it's premature or quixotic, but the USL's initiative may mark a turning point. For the first time in decades, the US may be edging toward a version of soccer that looks less American and more like the rest of the world.
A sprinkling of Hollywood stardust that has helped make this possible. Wrexham are back where they feel they belong.
Christina Unkel here with the Soccer Podcast USA. Very, very fascinating individual I have recently just met in our works with the USL Super League. But what person I get excited for, because she's leading the conversation when it comes to where the next phase of soccer is going with. Specifically, this subject is promotion and relegation. Kim Shelton, welcome to the podcast. She is the CEO of Lexington Sporting Club. Yes, Lexington, where you all traditionally think about the horses. They have a beautiful project that's going on out there. So Kim, welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, just kind of full knowledge to everyone. Kim and I spoke at Soccer X together, and I had this really good tagline when every vendor approached me. I said, you can talk to me. I have one professional club, or you can go talk to Kim. She has two professional teams. And so I lost a lot of vendors to Kim, and Kim's like, thanks for that. So I ended up buying her an extra glass of champagne to cover for that.
That's exactly right. You owe me.
Yeah, I do. I owe you a couple bourbons, but yeah, no, well, I mean, as I kind of briefly mentioned, and for many of those, right, because I know Lexington Sporting Club is one of the newer clubs on the scene. If a little bit of brief background history of the club, and then essentially kind of what's going on with what you guys are doing in that project.
Absolutely. It's been a journey, right? It's been an incredible couple of years. I've just been here for the last 14 months, but our owners had a vision for what this club could be. And it really quickly cast that vision and built this club to have the full allotment of everything the USL has to offer in many ways. So started with the youth club in 2022, merged two clubs, built a youth club that then found its way to a new facility right off the interstate, right off of I-75. So we've got 150 acres of land that it plays host to 7 turf fields. Our youth club, roughly 1,000 kids and growing, playing in our youth club out there. And then we started in League One on the men's side with the USL League One men's team. Had to play a bit off-site, had to play down the road in Georgetown, Kentucky, while we were building our stadium on that same plot of land. So we played off-site, found our way to our new stadium last year, moved up to the Championship League this year on the men's side of the game, while participating in the inaugural season of the Super League. So here we sit with a youth club, an entire pathway through the USL Academy up to the Championship League on the men's side, having a Super League team, and then also a W League team on the women's side. So when we talk about that pathway to pro, and inspiring young people to what can be next for them and in our sport and our country, we're really proud to kind of offer that full allotment. But it keeps us awful busy.
Yeah. No, I know we always joke about building the plane while flying it. So this is very unique to the soccer landscape, right? We have the traditional Major League Soccer ecosystem, which is just really focused at the top. And they've, have had some opportunities and have had some projects in trying to go from pro to youth. Now, you mentioned the youth to pro pipeline of it and starting in 2022. First and foremost, like, why Lexington? I think that's going to be some people's questions, right? Like, Kentucky is not necessarily known for football or soccer at this age. So, like, why Lexington, and particularly why the youth to pro pipeline?
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it really has to do with our ownership's vision. We have two owners in Bill Shively and Stephen Dahlhair, who have kids who've played in the game, right? And they have a passion for the sport, but not just a passion for the sport, but for inspiring young people. So, where we sit on this 150 acres, 75 of it's for the youth, 25 is for the pros, and the other 50 will develop and really make this a sports and entertainment complex. And I think Lexington's ready for a little bit more of that. Of course, here we sit in March, and right down the road, Rupp Arena, we're hosting a first and second round basketball tournament. So it's there's a lot of sports activity. We're a sports town, and I think ready for the next thing. And so proud to deliver, the first Division I professional women's sports franchise to Lexington. So I think Lexington is ready for what can be next. And what we try to do is on our game days, try to not just provide a great soccer experience, but just a great entertainment experience. So we really want to be that additional thing that Lexington has to offer to Central Kentuckians and those looking to come to our community.
So as you mentioned, 150 acres of land. So I hope people really get it. I know we're going to get from Kim like some renderings, right? So we can throw that into this podcast as well for the appreciation, because my mind was blown. I've seen some very impressive things, but when I went for one of our Super League games, I think it was your guys' opening game, my mind was blown because I could see the vision of what it is that they're doing. So definitely take a look at what they're doing. And to your point, turning, a little bit of surprises, right? Kentuckians aren't known for their soccer yet. And that's something that you guys are leading. But you're not only leading in establishing a brand new club with Division I and women's football, but also in Division I men's football. So take me a little bit through that, right? Promotion, relegation, very new to the American League. You're on the forefront making those decisions and votes. Like, how did it come about? And, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's so interesting to be a part of this stage of our sport in our country and to really kind of live through these discussions and these conversations and these votes and these decisions to make this, really important move for our sport here. For us, we, as I mentioned earlier, we moved from League One into the Championship League. We aspired to play at the highest level. And so to have that opportunity within our league to not just have that aspiration, but live that aspiration and have the opportunity to be promoted or to move up to the highest level for our league, to have that Division I level to participate in and to offer to our athletes. We think that that's, our aspiration to be at that level is why people want to play here, why coaches want to be here, why players want to be here, why our fans want to come and see the matches that we're putting on the pitch. So, when we talk about, are we interested, what was our perspective? Our perspective was yes, let's pursue this and let's create that atmosphere and that environment where people are always competing for something, right? There's just more matches that matter when you have a promotion and relegation scenario on the line.
I like that. More matches that matter. I feel like all I'm talking to the club internally is performance driven.
That's right.
And so kind of to that point, right? So promotion relegation being new, you having, a long history in, the sports world, having served as, VP of corporate partnerships and sales. I'd like to talk to you about the business side of a promotion relegation, right? Because I think you hit on the head. I think it's going to entice the players and the fans. Because of the uniqueness and the ability to, if you perform, you get rewarded for it. But from a corporate partnership side or from the financial side of it, like what are the pros and cons that you can see with promotion and relegation? We always talk about promotion, right? And that's why we always joke in the English Premier League that, right, the $1 million game, the jump from championship up to Premier League, right? But also,
Right.
how does that impact the bottom three who get relegated, and how do you see that playing out?
As we continue to drive, and I think promotion and relegation does continue to drive increased interest in what we're doing in our game and our matches. As we drive that interest, that drives more attendance, yes, drives more ticket sales, but also drives more attention, more eyeballs, more people watching our broadcasts where they are today, and continue to drive the value of those media rights up, and then that can create a different scenario for all of us as we move forward. So I think driving that attention, again, those more matches that matter, I think just continues to drive the value of our league, of our clubs, of our matches, and then that obviously then the financials then come to play.
So early entry, right? We don't have those big TV deals yet. There are TV deals, right, with CBS Sports and with Peacock on the women's side. Does this make it harder, you think, in the future for like franchises to purchase into the USL once those big TV deals come in? Would they be more nervous to do so, or do you think it's like, hey, get in on? Well, I guess that's a good point, right? You would get in on League One, and then you would try to work your way up to get to the top.
That's right. And I mean, quite candidly, it's a great time to get involved in our league, right? Get in now, right? As we're early in the game, and as we're continuing to grow. And we're making aggressive moves. We're doing aggressive things to again grow our sport and grow the real attention on our game and the matches that we're putting on the pitch.
And I guess that's one thing that I know some people have asked this question, and if it's not yet understood exactly how it's going to end, it's like, which teams will get the first division? I know it's not been named yet, but the first division USL, is that something where obviously the sanctioning with US Soccer would have to come to requirement, but is there elements or requirements right now within USL to be considered for that first division?
I don't know that we've yet thrown out the specific elements or requirements, but clearly those that are participating at a high level and that are performing at a high level, not just on the pitch, but that really have a high level of fandom, and that the support for the club, and that are driving, that are quite frankly performing, right? That's what the system rewards, performance. But also those that have been in the game, right, and who've been here and shown willingness to invest in infrastructure, shown willingness to invest in the quality of programming that we're putting in place, the quality of performance that we're putting on the pitch. So I think clubs that are ready and willing to invest in taking this to the next level will be those that will be rewarded.
Got it. And we know it takes a lot to put a team up very quickly, but 2028 is not far away, and that's the announced date for it to kick off.
That's right.
Yeah. So, like, in these next 2 years, what are you specifically in Lexington doing to your point, putting yourselves in the best position? So once those requirements come out from, we know the requirements from US Soccer from a sanctioning level, but the requirements from USL to be considered to be one of the first inaugural Premier, I keep calling it Premier League, but I don't know exactly what they're going to title it, but the first division in USL.
Like, what are some of the, right? That feels appropriate.
I keep calling it Premier League.
We can go with it for now.
Well,
That's right.
We should name it ourselves, and then USL is going to have to adopt it because we'll get it trending. But the USL Premier League, now it's going to go out and be like, it's called the USL Premier League. Kim and Christina said it. They released the news. We're like, But, what are, like, if you can get very granular, like if you were to say your top one thing is that you're going to hyper focus on, knowing that that's probably something that the league's going to focus on to be considered as one of the inaugural teams.
Well, I'd say that there's probably, I don't know that there's a top one. Well, there is a top one. The top one is performance on the pitch, because it's going to drive some of the other factors, right? Because we all know that winning matters, right? Winning clubs drive ticket sales, drive fans, right? Drive interest, drive attend eyeballs on viewership. So winning matters. We know that. So the first thing that we have to focus on is we need to be performing on the pitch, and we're proud of our team. We made a lot of changes this year, moving into the Championship League, and we've started off well. Got a game tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, but we anticipate continuing to perform at a high level, and our expectation is to perform at a high level. And we think that if and when we do that, interest continues to increase in our community. We're still educating a community to the game, and it's our job then as operators of running the business to make sure that when fans get there, not only do they see an incredible performance on the pitch, but also their experience at the match is off the charts, right? That they walk away from that game. We're going to assume that we're going to win. We want them walking away not just excited for the win, but that, wow, I had a great time, tell all their friends and come out. Because that's for us in Lexington, continuing to build our fan base is critically important to us continuing to perform at the highest level as we think about when the league's looking to clubs to continue to move up. Our ownership has always invested. They've not shied away from investment. You were at our stadium. You've seen it, right? You've seen the facility. So we will invest and have invested and have continued to invest in what it takes to get there. And so it's us now also investing our time and resources to continue to build our fan base, to get the support for the club, for a club that would be performing at that highest level.
So support for the club, you hit in the head, and we're going to just plan B, right? Assuming it's never going to happen, but let's just talk about it. What happens if you get relegated, right? You go down from the Premier League down back to Championship. What are some things that you think are going to carry you through those dark periods? And I'm a Leeds fan, so we've been relegated and we've had to go through 2 years of Championship, right? So, but there's still a strong fan base loyalty. Like, what are those things that are going to get you through that relegation period, including, the impact it has on corporate partners, right? The impact on potential ticket sales. What are things that we plan now just in case they happen?
Well, I'll point back to that experience, right? That fan experience needs to be the same. Whether it's a Championship League, a Premier League, we'll call it temporarily, or League One, right? I mean, fans coming to the matches need to have a great time, right? They need to have an experience that they will tell their friends about. So I do think that in the scenario with promotion and relegation, you get relegated and those matches matter too, right? Because you're fighting to get right back in, right? So I think that's the beauty of the system, is that, at the top of each league, it matters. At the bottom of each league, those matches matter, right? So I think you're just continuing to leaning into the importance of each match. Making sure that every fan that walks through the gate has the best experience that they can have, and continue to build support for what's happening down there on the pitch.
And because it's not just unique to, or this promotion relegation is not unique to soccer or football, right? But it's unique to the American system. And you having, we've done a lot of work in professional American sports. How do you think this is going to be taken by other sports outside of soccer, right? We talk about basketball, NFL, et cetera. Do you think this will turn some heads of those corporate partners or those other sports to take a look at what it is that you guys are doing in the USL?
Oh, I think definitely, right? It's just so interesting and fascinating. And again, matches that matter. I think that's why some of these other leagues are creating tournaments within the season. Right? Because you're creating other new reasons for people to watch, new reasons for people to attend. So I think absolutely other, I think other professional leagues will look. As college sports continues to evolve, that could be an interesting scenario as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit on the head in that larger picture, right? There's been chatter about how does now that NCAA is clearly having a lot of changes, and it's in a growing spurt right now, or a development or evolution, how that impacts professional soccer. And you and I both know there's not a Division II for women's soccer where you could see that with the men's side. And we talk about developing players on the women's side through a pipeline, and kind of that book value and growing them so that they're appropriate to move. How do you see Major League Soccer or NWSL existing in this ecosystem? Or like, what would you like to see if there's a way that we can all work and grow together in this new promotion relegation, as well as essentially their closed systems, but could they coexist in some kind of a relationship that you can vision?
On the men's side, we coexist at least at periods of time with the U.S. Open Cup, right? And it seems like as we continue to evolve and develop, that there will have to be a way for us to coexist. In what form? I'm not sure in what form it all comes to life. But again, that tournament, when there was discussion about, is the MLS going to compete or not compete in the Open Cup? Fans got pretty fired up. Fans like to see us all competing in one system. So I think the future will tell. But I think there's got to be an opportunity for us all to exist in one ecosystem potentially. But people much smarter than me will have to figure that out.
That's perfect. That's the exact same line I use too. I'm like, someone's paid a higher bill for that to figure out. We can only control what we can control is brand integrity, fan loyalty, and what we're doing in our environment and our communities and impacting it. Well, Kim, thank you so much. I really, really encourage everyone to watch Kim's space with Lexington. Truly, truly, truly just blew my mind. Very grateful that I went there to see what they were doing, obviously, and I think most importantly, just incredible servant leaders and great individuals for the community, locally as well as abroad in the football community. But it's a very fascinating project from the conception and the understanding of building not just soccer specific, but residential, commercial, and really creating kind of the next focus of what professional sports need to be built on, specifically soccer here in the United States. So Kim, thank you for leading those conversations, being at that table, having those votes, and just really building the next modern 2.0, 3.0 of soccer here in the United States. So thank you, Kim, for that.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be a part of it, and I appreciate you having me on here today.
Of course. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
You heard Lexington is pretty much a brand new club starting in 2022. How they have an opportunity to really start creating the landscape and the structure of U.S. soccer. You have to have financial resources to be able to build a game that the fans and the consumers want to get behind, and vice versa. You need those fans and consumers to be behind your product in order to make it a viable business model. Everyone says, oh, this is great, this is fun, football is for everyone, it's huge around the world, let's do it. And that is what has happened previously in the past when there has not been requirements and standards and the professional standards and regulations, created by U.S. soccer that has allowed some of these things to fold, and even vice versa, right? In NASL and USL, where people get, it feels like youth sports sometimes where it's like, I'm going to go create my own club because I can do it better, right? And then they throw all this money into this angle when instead of working together, they can make something bigger and greater. I think this is a good example of where you're now talking about business people who are respecting the fact that in order to make this a viable business model in the USL ecosystem alone, and to be able to compete against not MLS, everyone keeps competing it against MLS or NWSL, but the reality is the bigger competition is the other professional sports in the United States, as soccer in the United States is the number 5th sport, right? So how do you compete against other American sports, a global game in America against the other American sports? And for me, this is probably the first major kind of meeting of the minds of the business people saying, if we don't add promotion relegation into our game, then we aren't going to grab that kind of a fan base that isn't existing right now, who gets behind the ups and the downs. We talk about Wrexham FC, right? That Wrexham docu-series has captured the hearts between Ted Lasso and Wrexham FC.
Well, I'm looking forward to the definition of relegation.
Nobody who knows anything about soccer in the United States always brings those two up to me. They watch it, they can care less about soccer, but they love the storylines, they love the passion of the fans, they love the ups and downs, they love that the community is behind these clubs. And I think, and I believe, I'm going to say I know because this is the feedback that I get, that when people come to watch professional sports, that's what they're missing.
Don't forget to follow us on the Soccer Podcast USA as we continue to bring you big names and bold opinions. That's it for our show. See you later.